All right, I call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Councilman Woods if he'd give us the invocation.
Oh, gracious and merciful Father, we come together again, Lord, upon your roof, Lord, upon your wings, to gather together for another meeting, Lord. Father, we continue, Lord, to ask for your blessings as we walk through the path of life. We keep our hands in your hand, Lord, and everything that we say and do. Father, may the thing we do, Lord, be uplifting from your word to us. Father God, we ask in your Son, Jesus' name, amen.
We need approval of agenda items.
Mr. Chair, before you make the approval, can we look at item number 9 and 10? And ask that item number 10 be pushed to in this, so that when we come out of our session, we would have already done what we need to do as far as recognition.
This particular one, we do not have any recognition of, you want the council members to be?
Right.
Before, okay. And
We have the executive session.
we would right before the executive session.
Right.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Chairman, I also make a motion that we amend the agenda and add Sheriff McNeil to the agenda.
Okay. Put him right before
Boards and
recognition of council members. I mean, the new, where Ms. Lawson suggested we put council members.
You can maybe right after appointments to boards and commission.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the agenda as amended, as was requested by council members.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous. All right, we have changed up the agenda.
Sheriff's gonna go up under 6, is that correct?
Right. He will go right before 6.
5B.
All right, moving to the approval of minutes. We have to have the approval of the July 6th called meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. All right, the July 11th regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor? You abstain? Okay. Unanimous. July 17th called meeting.
So moved.
Second. All right, all in favor? Unanimous. August 8th regular meeting.
Mr. Chair, there are some corrections that need to be in August 8th meeting, please. Page 5.
Okay.
When we have those bids accepted, the amount is incorrect, please, that will be voted on.
All right. Ms. Rivers will be looking at the video and doing our minutes
Okay,
from
and
there, so we
then
will get her to check that out.
page 7,
Okay.
there is no back page to continue the meeting, to make sure the meeting was closed out also. So I'm sure that was by accident that the back page was left off.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table the adoption of our August 8th minutes until proper corrections.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. All right, and we have one last, the emergency meeting from August 30th.
Motion approved. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Abstain.
Abstain. Oh, absent.
6 4s and 2 abstentions. Anybody against? Okay, moving along to old business.
Mr. Chairman, I think the administrator had a,
Yeah, I'm trying to get your attention.
Oh, I
about-
apologize.
And it may be too late, but we do have a bid that we needed to get approved.
Well, we do have that on the,
Yeah, but it says none here. Acceptance of bid, it says none.
Okay.
Acceptance of bids, for the installation of the irrigation, we haven't, we had one bid to come in, and we need to,
Yeah, we need to move on with that. It says none on here, but it is a, agenda item. I'm good with going along with that. Any other council members have?
No problem.
okay. I just want to make sure, yeah. By way of Roberts, I would make a motion that we amend the amended agenda to include the acceptance of that bid.
Yeah, I think that's a proper way to do it. So we have a motion.
second.
All in favor? All right, unanimous? Okay. On new business, we have Resolution 9-2301, a resolution authorizing acceptance of grant funding in the amount of $50,000 from the USDA Rural Development by Marlboro County for purchase of an ambulance for emergency medical service under the Community Facility Grant to assist with essential community facilities in rural areas of South Carolina. Mr. Administrator?
Mr. Chairman, council members, you have before you a resolution. As you recall, you approved in previous meetings the authorization to actually submit the grant. This is a formal acceptance of the proceeds from that grant. And the first resolution is for the ambulance, and the amount is $50,000. So this is a USDA Rural Development grant for that purpose. So.
Is it a matching grant? I can't recall.
The 50,000 is what we're using to offset the cost of the ambulance. We budgeted the full amount, so
Okay.
It just helps to supplement
Free
our
money.
existing funds.
It's free
is,
money.
absolutely. We're going to buy it anyway. So yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept resolution 092301.
Second.
All right, all in favor? That is unanimous. All right, moving to Resolution 092302, a resolution authorizing acceptance of grant funding in the amount of $50,000 from the USDA Rural Development by Marlboro County for purchase of a utility trailer for the Public Works Department under the Community Facility Grant to assist with essential community facilities in rural areas of South Carolina.
And as we stated previous, this was an expenditure that we had already budgeted and was planning to incur in full, but fortunately, this 50,000 grant proceeds will help to offset the cost of that. So I recommend approval of the resolution.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? That's unanimous. All right, moving to appointments to boards and commissions. Do we have any?
I have one, Mr. Chairman, but last meeting, I appointed Mr. Danny Terry to the airport board. He informed me today that he has not had any type of notification that he, from the county.
Okay.
So I'd like to get some type of communication to him, if that's possible.
And that's the airport commission.
Right.
Mr. Chair, I got one, Mark Daniels for the Economic Development Board. I'd like him to serve on that. He was the one that, owned Carl's.
Oh, yeah, I know
I
Mark.
believe he'll be good on that.
Mr. Chairman, before I make this particular appointment, I want to inform council that me and Councilwoman Lawson were present at the PDCOG on yesterday evening, and to say I left that meeting disgusted, angry at the fact that Marlboro County has received $0 from PD COG when there was millions on top of millions of dollars really just being given away. And from my estimation, Marlboro County has lost tens of millions of dollars over the last few years of easy money that has been given out through PD COG. With that being said, I recommend that we appoint our county administrator as our fourth representative on PD COG so we can be duly informed of the opportunities that we have to get a massive amount of money to improve so many things in Marlboro County, from the information we receive from the administrators of those grants. If Marlboro County would have even attempted to submit some information, there could have been millions on top of millions on top of millions of dollars that could have gone for infrastructure, to water and sewage, to roads, to fire trucks, to ambulances, to all type of things that we failed to submit one grant of that rural infrastructure act that has billions of dollars in it. Marlboro County received absolutely, positively $0 out of billions of dollars that has come into the state, and all because our representation on PD COG has not represented Marlboro County. So I want to recommend and make a motion that we appoint our county administrator as the fourth representative on PD COG, along with myself, Councilwoman Lawson, and Councilwoman Woods.
And I'd like to second that motion if we're proper.
Well, we'll do all of them at one time, but it sounds very reasonable and very good. All right, any other appointments? All right, so do we have a motion to accept Danny Terry to Airport Commission, Mark Daniels to Economic Development Board, and Tony Clyburn to PD COG?
Correction, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Terry has already been appointed. He just has not been informed.
Okay.
We've already voted on him.
Okay, so with that being said, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous. All right, we'll move to Sheriff McNeil.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity, Chairman and Council, and Mr. Clyburn. I come today asking that the council would consider a request for additional salary funding for my department, or for my office, for the sheriff's office. And the reason I ask this, just recently we found out that we had some officers that may be leaving, going to other departments because of salary increases that we don't have. I'm not here to ask to compete with other departments, because we can't compete with other departments. But I would ask that that you consider increasing, giving some type of increase of funding for increase in salaries. I think we've done quite a good job in the past. This year alone, we've made in the year 2022 to 23, we've answered 7,136 calls. 2 years prior to that, we'd only answered 5,000 calls. So our call volume has increased by 2,000. We made 139 drug arrests since January 1 of this year up to now. That's 139 arrests that we've made. We're working. They're putting in a lot of hours. And for us to be doing this and trying to compete, it's hard. These guys are working hard, and these ladies are working hard, and they need some type of incentive. And we've done, I think that this office has done as much as we can, or trying to do, to offset some of the costs for the county. And this year, we've been able to either been awarded or donated $1.3 million, a little over $1.3 million this year, in awards of funds that we've been able to get to offset some of the costs for the county for things that are needed. And I think that says a lot for this office, the things that we've tried to do to help offset some of this cost. But at the same time, we may be offsetting the cost for the operational part. But then there's the salaries, folks' salaries that we have to look at. Now, 2 of these guys were offered almost $10,000 more than we can pay them now. If we lose both of these officers, that means we have to go back, hire 2 more people, and start that process all over again. At a loss to us, because now we have to bring people in and start all over again from the bottom. If I compared us to other agencies or other departments, we're probably, on average, with the exception of one office around this state, we're probably $6,000 lower than anybody else, starting salaries. We're starting at $6,000 lower than one other office, and I won't say where that office is. And we have to do something to keep our people. We have good people. I've been up here lots of time boasting that we were fully staffed. And we were fully staffed not because of the money that they're making, because of the people who work here, that want to be here, want to live here, their families are here. And they're proud of where they're working at. And I'm proud to have them working with me. That I am. And we're doing all we can to keep them. But at some point in time, I don't care how proud you are and how happy you are, your bills have to be paid. And if somebody can offer you more money as a young officer with a young family that's coming about, we have to do something. I'm not asking for a doubling in salary, but I am asking that you consider this request in some way. I'm asking for $40,000, but anything you can give us, I'd appreciate it. We do need help.
Sheriff, and then what is the breakdown if an officer was to leave for another position and you bringing in a new officer? What other additional costs that might be incurred that could be?
Well, we've already paid for the uniform, for everything that this person needs. If we look at just at that cost, well, obviously we keep the gun, but you're going to pay about $800 for a vest. You got to give them uniforms if they don't fit. We're washing and giving them the uniforms back. We're paying $200 for boots. We now got to send them back to school for the first 4 or 5. Well, now the first 16 weeks they're really not on the road because they're in training. They're going to spend 5 weeks here. Then they go to the academy for 8 weeks. Then they have to come back and they got to do the FTO again for another 8 weeks. So that's almost a half a year that they're out, that they're not on the road. Where if we take somebody that's on the road and they leave, we've lost somebody for at least 8 months that could be on the road that's not on the road, if that makes sense. So we're without a person now for another 8 months. If 2 or 3 leaves, and we all know what at least you should know by now, once that starts, it's like an epidemic. It keeps going. Because once they find out that they can make more, and they all know they can, but they don't want to. I can honestly say, I don't think I have anybody up there that really wants to leave from where they are. We're working, we're striving hard, they can see what we're doing. They're involved in the community, they like what they're doing. I like what they're doing. We're involved in the community everywhere that we can think of. We don't need to be keeping the starting process over and over again. And I understand that the county is in, I believe, maybe in a position that they don't have a lot of funding, but at the same time, $1.3 million that we were able to be awarded this year, and some of that will be reoccurring funds, is money that the county is saving. After this year, I don't think the county have to buy another car for the sheriff's office for the next 3 or 4 years. That's a savings for the county right there. Most of the equipment that we're getting out of this money, you won't have to buy for the next 4 or 5 years. That will be a huge savings for this county. And we're asking hopefully for $40,000. With that 40, then I can do a few other things that we can give these guys. We can't pay them what they can make some other place. But we can let them know that we care about them. We can let them know that we're looking at what they're doing. And it's hard to get people. That's the other part. It's not as simple as it used to be where you can go out and find police officers. That's hard now. For whatever reason, and I understand that nobody wants to do this job. It's not an easy job.
Well, Sheriff, we definitely want to support your department and in the protection of our community. We have set the budget for this year.
Yes, sir.
And I would suggest that we work through the administrator and maybe the finance director and see if we can maybe come up with some money and maybe even put it on next month's executive session if we have to.
We'll get together with Wes and myself and you, and we'll come up with something I don't know how much it'll be, but we'll try to find something, and we'll be able to offer, the council some kind of figures that we could possibly come up with. I've been looking myself at like, how can we, as they say, move money around to try to figure out something. It's just really difficult. We don't have a lot of funds available, but we're going to try to find something.
I know we had to cut substantially this year,
Right,
too.
because there's a lot of departments that are suffering, but, I can't think of any more important than keeping us all safe, so we'll do what we can to try to find something.
All right.
All right, thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Moving to the acceptance of the bids. Mr. Administrator?
Wes, you can go ahead and just let everyone know what we're doing.
Mr. Duso?
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Administrator Carter, we have the third portion of the irrigation installation project bid that came in for you to open today. We did have one contractor submitted a bid for the installation. Mind you that right now irrigation is booming and contractors are very difficult to come by. The contractor that submitted the bid, I'll let Wes open it up and I'll answer the questions that you may.
Mr. Chair, before he opened that bid, so we can put on the record straight, I know that may just be one bid, but we left here last month and I didn't really feel good about the statement that was made. I don't want to have us think that when there's bids coming in, that we're gonna always zoom in on the lowest bid. I don't want to do that. I want to be sure that we're making sure that we're looking at quality, because if we set ourselves, well, we know that they're just gonna go for the lowest bid. I can't tell you I'm okay with that. I'm gonna look for quality, because in years past, if we had looked for quality more so than trying to save pennies, we may have been in a better shape. So I just want to put that out now, that when we're looking at bids, I don't want anyone to assume that this council is just gonna always go for the lowest bid.
Yes, ma'am. That is one of the reasons why we do the RFP, that I've done the RFP, where there is some stipulations in their proposal that they send us their qualifications as well as their work history, any legal issues or anything that they have is all in the bid.
Miss, if I may, I kind of, with Miss Lawson, I kind of agree, if you get them all bid, is there a grading scale to be able to, if we just open them, is there a grading scale, how will we grade them out to say A, B, and C, even though they bid on the same thing? You still have usually whenever those come in, you have a grading scale to be able to say A's done this, B's done this, C's done this, and you still kind of grade them instead of just going, as Ms. Lawson said, I know whenever we tore down the Delta property, the bids come from as high as way over $2 million to under $1 million, and so, but whenever you come to the grading scale, the low bid was fine, but without would be in just a low bidder on a day like today, we only have one here today, but as far as opening them up like it here, I'd be kind of reluctant just because the low bidder may not be the best thing, as Ms. Lawson said.
And I think that's the purpose of what we did last time with the swimming pool situation, where we do the RFQs, where they actually present, and so we can get it apples to apples, oranges to oranges, and that's why we did it that way with that. We would already started this process before I got here, but I think in the future, due to those concerns and the concerns that you mentioned, I think it's best for us just take the time to do it. This is something. From this point on, when we do projects, we're doing them for 20, 40, 50 years out. We're not doing them for the next 5 years. We're doing things that we want to keep in this county. So it's up to us to get firms in here that are qualified. I know it's a long process. It was almost 6 hours we spent in here, and I understand that. But we had to spend that time to do it the right way and to hear their presentation and ask questions directly to them about what they can do. And we'll next time we'll kind of organize a little bit better, so we make sure that we have the time to do that. But in the future, we are going to start moving toward the RFQs, where they come in and tell us what they can do and how they can do it. So that addresses your concerns and that addresses what you said as well.
But it's not just this irrigation, I'm talking even these small
That's what I'm saying,
projects.
everything,
The
everything.
Small projects also, heating, air, these small projects too.
Right, no, I agree with you. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Can I ask a question? Don't every bid or every contract we sign, isn't there a due diligence period that we have before, everything is set in stone?
Do we have that in that? I mean, that needs to be added if we don't normally do that. That needs to be added into our, what we send out to these companies. 'Cause that's a good,
Right.
that's a very good point there, that we need to send out something to them, that if we're doing just a simple bids, that once we get that bid and accept it, there is due diligence process that allows us to say, wait a minute, it isn't quite what we asked for. I mean, we need to be able to do that. Maybe we
Let me
can come up with
interject
something.
Here, we do have there's a 10-day intensive award period, so during that time frame, that's the frame in which we need to do our background and other,
Do we think that's enough time to do that?
Just-
provide notice to the other
Yeah.
contractors.
If I may, I mean, I'm just looking at Mr. Ducer, looking through the contract now from one ward, and I guess he's trying to find something what he needs, so, as far as, am I correct, Mr. Ducer?
Yes, I don't have a full list of what is going to be his bid.
We don't see the number yet.
No, I won't. I'm gonna need to contact him to see exactly what he has included in this.
Yeah, I think open them at council meeting, I know there's kind of the transparency thing, but I think that open them now without, if we open all of them, there's no way even for us to make a informed decision. So, I mean, you can open them at the council meeting, but there's no way I can make an informed decision, just even off of one, so if we had 3 of them to go through, to open all 3 of them, I mean, how would we get to that?
And that's a
that
process
point?
that we did last time. But again, when it's something complicated as the construction of an irrigation system, that's something that the council, we need to consider doing that under RFQ. But if it's something like we want to buy an item and we can compare the same item, then that's different. But installation and work, there's no way that we can actually go through that right now and say, this is suffice. There's just no way of doing that. So I would defer to our attorney. I mean, we've unsealed a bid, we haven't revealed anything in it. Do we take some time? Do we award it and then say, we take that 10 days to go over it and make sure it's suffice? I mean, how do you?
I think if initially you see that it's not what you expect, I
It-
think you need to
yeah.
stop, put the brakes on it, and then go back and ask that it be clarified, or whatever wasn't included that should have been included. It's not an acceptable bid.
I need some more information from him.
Okay, so we will not make this bid public?
No, let's not make it public.
So
We'll not make it public.
we get, go back and
And we'll just,
clarify.
we'll clarify and I'll have him, Tony will contact y'all and we'll figure out, if we've got to, we'll bring it at the next meeting. I don't feel comfortable with what I'm looking at here, that I've got all the information.
Or if a call meeting is needed.
Or for call.
Or if a call meeting is needed.
Yes,
Let me,
okay.
Mr. Chairman, let me make myself clear. Every bid, no matter what it is, how small or how big it is, how complicated, how vast it is, it has to be open in public. It has to be open, whether we make a decision on it or not. Now, that's another thing, but we have to open them in public. I am fed up with the way we used to do it. Nobody knew what the bids were, nothing. So this is transparent. Everybody know that, bumps come along, in the road, but we need to open those bids up. And if, just like we're doing now, putting the brakes on, since something is wrong, then we'll do that. But I strongly recommend
Well,
that.
I mean, if I may, Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
I just want to say to that point, I don't know if we consider this opening it in public yet. We won't change anything or whatever, but I don't know if disclosing the amount would be proper, especially if we then go back and say, well, it isn't quite everything that we need. And again, I'll defer. I mean, I don't know if that would be proper to open it.
I mean, it's been open now, but I think that,
I mean, to disclose it.
yeah,
is
no,
what I'm
it
saying.
would, I don't think it, I would err on the side of caution and not disclose until you know you had a qualified bid. And if you can tell right away it's not qualified, I think you need to go back and say it needs to be resubmitted or can't be accepted in its current form, whatever the policy is.
Because it needs to be the specifications we have on the piping, the pumping capacity and everything. All that needs to be cut and dry. When you open it up, this is what you requested.
Yes, sir.
In the bid process. And like I said, of course, me and Jason, we work in construction a good bit. Materials change. One contractor can use one material, but that's not going to last as long as another material. We need to make sure, as administrators, that we got such a scope. When we do these bids and we accept them, there need to be things that's going to last 30 to 50 years.
Yes, sir.
So if, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think that, here, Mr. Stroman, I think if we just a pre-council meeting is this building here, if you announced it a week before a council meeting and you had acceptance of bids, it was known, open to the public, and you say you're gonna be in this building at this time, that is advertised to the public. Right. So then that would give them 3 or 4 days to compare apples to apples, then present us to on a council meeting a actual vote. And they can send it out to each council member that there's gonna be if that's what council desires, it's gonna be open to bid. But I think if you did it 2 or 3, 4 days before agenda meeting, or whatever it is, that way you could put it on the agenda and we would be prepared to vote as a recommendation.
And that's something I can implement out of my office just without having to come. I can implement the fact that we will open it, we will send notice out, everyone will be welcome to witness it being open. And that gives us the transparency that we need. Now, that can be done very easily, but my concern is, what do we do about this bid that was received that he clearly needs more time to look at and to see if it's even a bid that's comparable to what we sent out?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we reject any bid without anything right now, without any more discussion until we get forward.
I second the motion.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor? That's unanimous.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, I don't think we have any other bids. Okay, moving to the finance report, Mr. West Park.
You have the report in your packet. We had sent the report out earlier, and unfortunately, there was a page missing, and so then when we reran the report, the amounts changed a bit. So anyway, I have included a revised report that's dated as of September 11th.
Okay.
I knew that you would see it, and I opened it on Monday morning, and I said, oh no, the last page is missing. So anyway, general fund revenue for 2 months ending August 31, 2023 totaled $1,419,769 in comparison to $1,273,682 for the 2 months ending in the prior year. General fund expenditures through August 31, 2023 totaled $2,286,060 of a $14,233,618 budget, or about 16% of budget year to date. General fund expenditures totaled $2,205,914 for the 2 months ending in the prior year. In conclusion, our revenues are up and our expenditures are up as well, but I think we're pretty well on track this year based on what we can see in budget and making a comparison with the prior year.
I do want to add something to his report and make sure that, did everyone get a copy of the general ledger for this past month? Did you get it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everyone has a copy of that, general ledger for the month. What we'll start doing is monthly, we'll give you a general ledger of what we did. So you'll be able to, those of you who are interested can see every expenditure and every source of revenue that came in the county in this past month. We'll do that. And we're also, I have here a letter that we sent out, a copy of the letter we sent out to QS1, so that we can get that general ledger report to be a little more detailed. And so we're taking care of the things that we need to make sure that we are a little more detailed with our reporting, financial reporting. And I'll talk about a little bit more of that in my administrative report. But we're trying to get that to where we can be a little more concise with our reporting on that.
You're ahead of me on that because that was part of my question in finance report. And I do appreciate that because these are kinds of things that I saw. One thing I want to be, what is the code for lost receipt?
That's a local option sales tax. And that is, there are two parts to local option. There is what they call the new money portion. That is it's a penny sales tax that the county had adopted in 1992. We're actually one of the earlier counties to adopt local option. The other portion, which is 71% of the funds, actually go to reduce property taxes in the county. So that makes a pretty significant impact, particularly on a principal residence.
My question for asking that, when in these reports, how are receipts filed when persons purchase something? How are the receipts filed?
Oh, you're talking about, when you say lost, I misinterpreted what you were saying. I was thinking of local option sales tax, but the receipts are filed with the accounts payable clerk, and of course, there's a reimbursement process if somebody uses their own credit card, for example, and they're asking for reimbursement of already authorized expenses. Then, of course, all of those receipts are filed with our accounts payable clerk, and they're maintained in individual files.
And the last question I have, delinquent tax is about to be due in October.
It is. Yeah, there will be a delinquent tax sale, probably about the middle of October. I know there'll be an exact date by the delinquent property tax collector. We'll announce that date.
So we should get some pretty good revenue from that, right?
We'll get, we'll certainly collect from that because, of course, there are parcels that
There are some
don't
buildings
end up
that's over
getting-
$9,000 delinquent in taxes that we need to be collecting those funds.
Sure.
I know that, over $9,000 worth of taxes on one building.
Yeah,
So those are kinds of things that we need to be sure that we're gonna collect those taxes.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'll be meeting with the tax assessor to
Okay.
make sure that we zoom in on some of those properties that
Thank
are
you.
the higher ones they're pretty late, so.
Mr. Paul, you said revenue was up. Is there a particular reason that revenue was
Well,
up?
I think one thing we've seen, this has been a trend, the state shared revenue has been higher. When we look at revenue, among other municipalities and counties, the state portion has been, has really made the difference. And, fortunately, we've seen some very healthy surpluses with the state of South Carolina. So anyway, we're participating in that, fortunately.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Parker.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Clyburn, the administrator's report.
Good evening, everyone. I want to get right into it, and I want to start talking about SCDOT and the grass and litter. That we've contacted SCDOT numerous times, as a matter of fact, and some members of council have contacted them numerous times about our concerns with the way our roads have been kept. He's asked for a list of state roads that need cutting and litter control. Now, we've submitted a few of those roads already, but I would ask that if any members of council and the public, if you have any concerns, any roads that you see that are state roads that you want to see taken care of by DOT, there's a contact number, 843-703-2112. Repeat that, 843-703-2112. You contact that number, just give a list of the road that needs to be, if it needs to be cut, or if it needs litter control, let's do that. And each month or two, we're gonna send that to SCDOT and let them see that these are our concerns, these are roads that we need to be taken care of. Now, I've gotten some calls and some concerns about some of our county machines cutting grass on state roads instead of, quote, county dirt roads. And I wanna say, first of all, we're not prohibited from cutting these roads as long as we are using state safety protocols. But we're not cutting state roads, just in case anybody wondered. We're actually cutting some of these paved roads, and we need to understand that some of our county roads are paved. Just because a road is a paved road doesn't mean it's a state road. We have county roads too, especially in some of these, in the areas in the county that are residential and more dense. Those are paved roads, but they're still our roads, and we are going to cut them, especially those roads in those areas that have been neglected for quite some time to the point where they cause a hazard. And by hazard, I'm talking about mosquitoes, pests, especially in some of these neighborhoods that have that. We're going to continue to do that. And so, and I would say to the public as well, if you have issues with your county roads, that same number can be called. Make sure you make the distinction. I'm talking about my road, a county road, whether it's a dirt road or a paved county road. We want to give you a chance to call and put that road on the list, and we'll look at taking care of that. We don't have but so much equipment in the county, which is so disappointing why we didn't get any money, to get new equipment, because we need it desperately. And so we need that, but we're going to do the best we can. We're going to send out Mr. Covington to do the best he can to get those things cleared up. So I want to talk next about litter control grants. Applications opened up on September 1st for litter control grants, and they closed in November. Now, we did have a member of our staff that went to Myrtle Beach to the grant seminar to learn about those grants and how to file those, and she'll be filing those as soon as she gets back in the office. That will be done, and I have a report for you by on October meeting, or before that actually, but it closes in November, but we'll have that done before the October meeting. I want to talk about inmate labor. We've been working with the sheriff and with Judge Weaver, and we're still finalizing that process. We're just waiting to hear back from Benfield at the State Department of Corrections. And, as has been discussed before with this council some time ago, I do have the authority to go ahead and do that, and I will do that, implement that. I just need to get the okay from our elected officials here, from the sheriff and from the magistrate, to make sure that happens properly. And so we will be doing that. It's going to take a little time because we got to get our employees trained on that and get that implemented. Now, I don't mean to prolong the meeting, but I do have a few things I want to talk about, so bear with me here. Finance reporting. We sent out an email on credit cards about receipts. Anybody who has a credit card, a county credit card, any of our staff, if they fail to turn in receipts, they just revoke the card. That's just that simple. We have adults that work for us, and they need to do adult things and collect the receipt and turn it in. It's that simple. And that's going to be implemented. That's starting immediately. That email was sent out 3 weeks ago. And so we have that, and I also let you know about the QS1. We're going to have those lines in the general ledger where it's a little more detailed, so we can tell more about the credit card expenses. Watershed project. We were all looking at, we want to stop the flooding in certain areas of the county, and that watershed project, particularly in the Crooked Creek area, I know a lot of that is in the city, but there are portions of it in the county as well. And we were looking at watershed. We have a meeting in October that I'm going to invite you to. I just got to get the date down, But that watershed project can be a lengthy process. Or it can be a process that's a little, not as lengthy, but it has to be something that happened just recently. And we don't have any recent events, and I mean in the past 3 months, that we can call as an emergency and do something. So if we go through watershed, it's gonna take some time, maybe a couple of years before they do the studies and get the engineers and do what they need to do for that. But I do wanna start the process. If it's gonna be lengthy, we need to go ahead and start it. So there's that. I wanna talk about Hurricane Lee. Hurricane Lee was a hurricane. I say was. It was supposed to be hitting possibly the Carolina coast. It took a north turn, and so we don't expect much impact from that to be here. And you know, sudden turns are possible, but in the very unlikely event that something happens, you know, we'll be with you, and we'll make sure that we get that word out to everyone. The last hurricane, it was handled well, and I do want to thank Calvin for heading that up. It was handled very well. We were very prepared, but we still look to improve certain things. Our notifications that I give out to the county staff and to members of the public about the hurricane, we want to improve that notification process. We want to improve our visibility in the communities, especially these flood zones. We did get a couple of calls, and people were pleased that they saw some of our vehicles, but we want to improve that as well. Make sure they see those things in the areas. I know, Councilman Steen, I know you have some areas out in Wallace that are kind of stuck in valleys, and I just don't know those areas quite as well, and you just need to make me familiar with those areas too. And I know over there at the Crooked Creek area, we're going to make sure the vehicles are there and they see them, so people feel more comfortable and know that they're being protected.
Mr., let me stop down, because with all the rain we've been getting the last few days,
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that.
that's my area, southwest Bennettsville, it's beginning to flood.
Right.
Those ditches are clogged.
So we're also going to improve visibility. Not visibility, but response times for trees. We had a really good response for trees coming down. And I want to talk about what I saw. I did ride out the night of the storm, and I rode with the sheriff. He took me out to some areas. And I did go in the areas that you're talking about. And number one, it's too dark. There's no way of knowing if you're going to hit a tree or anything in the road. And that's something we're going to address later on with, we got to get some kind of energy grant to get streetlights in some of these areas. We're going to address that. Number two, we need water for stormwater drainage, but that should have been awarded to us last night with the PD card. That's where you get that water, that money from, to clean those ditches out. We may have to wait until next cycle to get money for that, but that's going to cost a lot of money. We're going to have to get a comprehensive draining plan for not just Crooked Creek, but just all the areas, residential, some of the areas where people live. Some of these dirt roads, they get trapped in there for days because they just can't get out. It's just so bad. You can never have good roads if you don't have good drainage. And so we're going to have to make sure we come up with a real drainage plan and submit that to the COG so we can get that money. That has to happen. Okay? So that's something we're looking at. We're going to be working on that as well. Moving on, I want to talk about some things we voted on already. AC units in Blenheim. They're coming in. They should be another week or so before they even get started, but they haven't put those in yet. The banquet hall at the golf course, that hasn't been completed yet, but they'll start back on that on next Friday, if I'm not mistaken, right? And the pool project, we had a workshop for the pool project that we'll discuss further tonight in executive, and hopefully we'll make a decision on how to move forward with that from this point. I want to talk about the Broad Street building. We didn't spend any money on the Broad Street building. I think people saw some action out there. We didn't spend any money. We're just cleaning up and then getting the air condition looked at. But I know there was some conflicting reports about the condition of the building, and I don't want to get into those other reports, but I'll just tell you what we know about the building right now. The building's in very good shape. There was a leak, but it was a tar, and we have a tar and felt roof up there, which, as you know, you can repair that very easily. And our guys, and I do want to thank DT for doing all he could. He repaired those things. The building's in excellent shape, to be honest with you. The AC works. There's a sprinkler system in there as well. We wouldn't have to invest in sprinklers. There's a kitchen hood. It's a little old. We have a kitchen hood. And then we have storage space and office space in there. Now, that building is scheduled to be torn down in 2025. Okay? We own that building. Even with it being scheduled to be torn down in 2025, even if we decide to move on with that, we still need space for parks and recreation. And I am going to put Darius in that space because he wants to be in that on the right side. It's ready. We just have to get it inspected, and it'll pass an inspection until council decides what they want to do as far as that's concerned. But the library is, to put it mildly, they're ready to reclaim their space. They do have some programs they have from schools that they want to put in those areas, and we want to get him out of that. There's storage, there's meeting space, there's everything in there, and until we make a decision on what we're going to do with that moving forward, we need to go ahead and put him in there. Now, that's not going to cost us hardly anything to do that. Like I said, the building's almost ready to go. A few minor details. We got to fix one of the bathrooms, make it ADA, and then we'll be able to go ahead and get him in there. And that should be able to happen in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Now, about what we're talking about as far as tearing the building down, if we decide not to, we have to make a decision before the end of 2024, because before the end of 2024, that money has to be reallocated. And I believe Councilwoman Lawson, she did attend a seminar, an online seminar on how to reallocate money that we've already allocated, and it will involve contacting our Congressman Fry. So we need to, if we decide to do that, we have to contact him and just go through that process, and we'll learn a little bit more about that process when I get with Ms. Lawson.
Mr. Clyburn,
Yes.
I know a few months back when we allocated the AC units, the HVAC units to go into Blenheim because Mr. Williams were maybe proposing to go into that space. Being that they haven't started the work on those AC units over there in Blenheim, can that be allocated to the Broad Street building, being that that's going to be where he's going to be housed?
Well, here's the thing about that. Yes, it can be, but that has to come through the council. But it can be, and I'll tell you, I know everyone knows that building. There's 3 huge units on the side, and those units work, believe it or not. And there are other units on the top and units in the back. There's probably about 2 or 3 units, smaller units, that's lacking in that place. One that cools up front, that kitchen area, and 2 that would do that storage area in the back. It would probably be a wise decision, and I don't want to tell you how to vote on that, but it would probably be a wise decision to move that there, those units. But before we do that, we really need to talk about how we're going to use that building moving forward, because it doesn't make sense to put the air conditioning units there and then tear the building down still. So we need to make sure that we are on the same page with how we're going to treat that building in the future before we decide to install more things there. But then, as we hear, we have another week to really make that decision, and we can tell them to back off for 1 minute, and then let's kind of get together and make the right decision. Because as we talked about with the swimming pool meeting, it's better to just wait and make a right decision than to rush into making these decisions, make them in haste, and then years later we're wondering what in the world were we doing. So let's we'll contact them tomorrow, and we'll just kind of find out what would it take for them to move that, and we'll discuss it with council. We may have to even call a meeting, but we want to make sure we make the right decision on that. On doing that.
As far as what, Mr. Clyburn?
As far as the air conditioning units in Blenheim that they haven't put in yet, they were put in because of storage. We bid on that because of the storage. And could we have that there instead?
Yeah,
I'd be very much against that. I'd be very much against that.
Against?
Yeah, yes, sir. I mean, we said we were going to do it. We already said we were going to put the units there. It's already been, and we need the units there for the gym anyway.
Well, that's one thing. The gym does need the units. And there were like, I think there were 4 units total, 3 or 4 units total. What he has said is that gym needs that unit, but the 2 smaller units is what they don't need anymore. But again, that building does have air conditioning. And so it's not like we have to have it there, but it's just something that was something we just kind of thought about. But no, as far as the gym air conditioning, by no means are we going to move that air conditioning from the gym, because that needs that under all circumstances, because there's no air conditioning there at all. I want to talk about, and we'll talk about that in more in depth. I don't want to take up too much time on that because I want to talk about a strategic planning session. In the next 30 to 45 days, we need to have a strategic planning session. I'll ask the chairman to get with members of council. We need to go over our old or our recently passed 5-year plan. Remember when we talked about the 5-year plan, and there were some members of council who had some concerns, and we were told that, hey, this is not set in stone, this is just a guideline. So if it's a guideline, not set in stone, we need to get together and set some of it in stone. Go back, look at what we've done, look at what we need to do, and put out a concrete 5-year plan for the public saying these are exactly the things that we're going to do, that we've had time to go back and look and see. Because even since then, there have been new ideas presented by members of council that we could do with some of the funds that we're going to get allocated over the next 5 years. Some really good ideas. And so,
I might have to be excused.
okay.
Excuse me.
So I do want us to look at doing a strategic planning session. I'm gonna try to get this over with. Airport. I was asked about the airport last meeting. Sharon and I were supposed to go to the airport. We're gonna get over there.
In the morning.
We can go.
Yeah, we can do it in the morning.
We can go. We're gonna give it to the airport. I don't want to give any more information about the airport until I talk to them face to face and find out what their plans are, what they're doing, and find out what we can do from there. So I don't want to make any promises about that. I want to talk to them one-on-one and find out what they have. The commissions, county appointed commissions, let's make sure that they're filled, ladies and gentlemen. You appoint those, and I know you don't want to make appointments in haste, because as we know, when we make appointments in haste, sometimes we don't get the results that we want. But let's make sure we get those appointed, because next week I will be sending out notice to all of them, all those commissions, because we haven't had a commission report since maybe housing in January. But before that, it was, I don't know when. We appoint them for a reason. They need to come back and report to us, not every month, but periodically. So we need to make sure we send it out to them, and that they're going to be meeting when they're supposed to meet, according to according to what they have, their ordinances, and we need to make sure they do that. And I'll be in charge of making sure that they're meeting. I'll be at those meetings and make sure we get a report back from those commissions. Council subcommittees. I'll ask the chairman once again, please make sure we appoint those committees. And when you appoint them, we need to make sure we have all the committees we need of county councilmen. Make sure we have parks and recreation, residential development, beautification, mapping and zoning, finance, and anything else you see fit. But those are the ones that I know that if we don't have them, I know we're going to need them immediately. Okay? The last thing I want to talk about, well, I was going to talk about, but you brought it up. I saw the report from the PDCOG, and yes, there was $135 million that was given out to 6 counties in all those municipalities, of which we got 0. Also, and it's public information, so I don't mind saying it, Florence County, just the county government, got $8 million, Darlington got over $3 million, Dillon got over $1 million, Chesterfield over $20 million, Marion County almost $10 million, and we in Marlboro County, as the county that has the least amount of revenue,
Got 0.
we got 0. And not only that, our council on aging that we share the parking lot with got 0. Other counties, Chesterfield, Darlington, $200,000, $500,000 for the council on aging. We didn't even get an ambulance or a fire truck. We've argued before about ambulances. They're giving them away.
They are.
And so we didn't get anything. And so I just want us to be aware that I made a promise to you, council, before I got the job. If I'm here, that doesn't happen. And I intend to keep good on that promise. make good on that promise, that that's not gonna happen again, that we don't get anything, okay? We gotta get our fair share, 135 million, and we got 0. So I just wanna make sure everybody's aware of that. Any questions, or if anybody that, has any comments from the council, I'd be glad to answer them.
Mr. Who's the representation of the county on the PD card? Past representation. Who is that? Who is that representative? Who's responsible for representing the county but not representing
So
the county?
let me just say this. And Wes is here. I spoke to Wes earlier. I don't think we ever really gotten money from the PD card, and that's been over years and years. And that money, now we just talk about 135 million for this quarter. How about all the other quarters and all the other years? We've missed out on all that money. And I don't know who the leadership was. I just know that, and I don't want to point fingers, but I just know that leadership, we just haven't gotten that money over the years. We have to make sure that we're taking advantage of the opportunity to get that money. It's there, and they have a job to give that money away. Anyone who was there will tell you her attitude about it. She keeps saying she's trying to give the money away, and they can't keep any of it. They have to give it all away.
We talked with the representatives, and they haven't received information from Marlboro County in years. No applications, no inquiries in years. And we've had members of council and other members on PD card going to the meetings, getting the information. But for us not to submit an application when they was like literally giving away money, we've missed on tens of millions of dollars of free money in this county because we failed to submit information. We failed to get reports. The leadership and the folks who were on that PD card, really did Marlboro County a disservice. And like I said, I left that meeting really upset and disgusted that all of that money, and seeing some of these cities getting $10 million, $1.5 million in Marlboro County, got nothing. I'm just gonna be brutally honest. We have a representative on that PD card that's on the executive committee, that gets that information before it even really gets out to the public. And none of that information has gone to Marlboro County to even submit information to get all of this money that was really just being given out, and we was almost guaranteed to get, money if we would have just submitted some information. And so, that was one of the reasons that I made the recommendation to have our county administrator, on the PD cog. So now we will have not only our council, but our county leadership as well in the room when that information is coming out, so we can almost guarantee, we can't get every dime, but we can get our fair share of money to improve our infrastructure and our roads and the other money that they're begging, people to give out. I'm really upset, to be honest about it, about the lack of responsiveness, knowing what Marlboro County has gone through over the last couple of years. And for us not to get a dime of free money that was thrown away is a travesty and a disservice to the citizens.
Well, we also haven't seen the report from the Transportation Committee. And that's, money that DOT uses to fix roads and everything. And I think we're gonna see some of the same on transportation. And I think we all know that when it comes to fixing roads and bridges and that kind of thing, now that's expensive. That gets to $1 million per mile. When you're talking about fixing roads and widening highways, I tell you, I'm not sure you're going to like the report from the next time we had the transportation committee report when it comes to money from the COG. But again, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. I'm telling you now, that's not happening anymore. Now, I do want to conclude, but are there any more questions?
Mr. Administrator, I've had a lot of calls, just wondering what's going on at the building on Broad Street.
Yeah.
We have, and I spoke with you about it,
Yes.
I've asked, and so just for me, as council, we had, however it plays out, if it's redirection or whatever, but to the point, previous, it was to, move to tear the building down, and, so until we actually get I know you want to put Mr. Williams in there, but until, we actually, I guess, probably have a strategic plan, and I wouldn't want to spend any money on it if if majority of council says, let's still tear it down, I wouldn't want to put, we're tight on budget, so, until we get that, I would ask that we just hold, because, by the time you get a bathroom, this and that, you could be tens and twenties of $1,000s, and if the council still tore it down, then we'd be throwing good money away. And so I would at least ask until council kind of gets to there, just as courtesy to council, just to say we want to be, good stewards of every penny we have, and if Mr. Williams needs it, we see fit. I don't.
I can honor that request. We can wait, and I'll ask that we do, Mr. Chairman, we do have that strategic planning session as soon as possible, because again, I've talked with you about some ideas, talked with you, I've talked with almost every member of council about ideas. We have some things, even since I've been here and since we presented this 5-year plan, new ideas that we want to consider that may be better than what we had thought about, just 6 months ago. So let's go ahead and do that. And if we do see fit, then I want to go ahead and get it moved in, if we see fit.
I would like to have a strategic planning meeting before the next council meeting, I would just, if it's possible, we have talked, and, it's been I think a couple of years since we've had one. I can't remember if it was last year or year before, but it may have been a year before, but I think it's time now, so we can, I would like to see.
Can we get some scheduled maybe next 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, it is my belief that we've already talked about that building and not tearing it down. We already discussed the fact that if we could find something to do with that building and in that building, that we would not tear it down. We would halt on that. We've already discussed it. We had citizens come up to the table and talk about their concerns with keeping it, and we decided to halt the demolition of that building. And
we voted to tear it down, and the vote still stands.
No, we didn't vote to tear it down.
But we also came back and said that we would look at other uses that we could do. And I think we would need to have that discussion maybe in an executive session where we can all, pitch in and really discuss and find out direction.
I don't have a problem with, I don't want to do it in executive session. I just think it's a strategic planning session to find out what the next steps are. If it's to keep it and move forward, then that would be the will of council, to have a plan to move forward on anything, it's just, that's my thing.
Have it as a key point.
And I think if every council member comes in with an open mind about this, I think cooler heads will prevail when it comes to what we do with that. Because obviously there's some council who may want to see it torn down, some who don't want to see it torn down. But if we go in there with all the facts, then I think we can all agree to put bygones be bygones, and let's just go in here and make good decisions on moving forward. And I can speak for the public when I say the public is tired. We want to see things getting done. And I know the members of council agree with that. And so let's go ahead and get that taken care of before
and we'll
next
have
meeting.
that as part of the strategic plan.
Right. Oh, that's gonna be number one in the strategic plan.
Here's what I agree on. I agree on that when the citizens come up and they make demands for us and we make decisions and we do that we stick to it. You know what I mean? And because we made a decision on bad information.
On 6-2 vote, we talked about this, and I don't want to cut you off, because we were giving information that was really not accurate. And we said, let's wait so we can be sure. We said that in a 6-2 vote to halt that project to that.
Well, and you're right, but it was, and you're right, and that vote initially was to tear it down in 2025. So having this strategic meeting next month to make that decision, if it was 6-2 to not tear it down yet, I'm sure that once we come up with a plan and how we're going to finance and that kind of stuff, I'm sure we have nothing to worry about. Right. Once we come up with a viable plan moving forward with that building.
Okay.
But it needs to be something that we all agree on, or at least the vast majority of us agree on, that we're going to do with that to make sure that we can, we can move forward in a way that's going to benefit our citizens.
Mr. Clyburn, you said that the library wanted their little area back. Did they give you a timeline?
They've been very patient. They needed it. They needed it actually last month. They had some different programs that they were trying to do, but they've been very patient about it. And they said, you know, we'll wait. And she's been very good about that, about being patient on that. But I do want the library to be used as a library. And there's so many programs that those kids can go to in that library. And school has started. We talked about this summer. School has started. And this is where they do a lot of their registration for different programs in the library, different festivals are getting ready to start. But they need that space. And so that's why, but again, to wait until the next council, the next strategic planning session and get in front of council and talk about the what we're gonna do with it, we can wait until then. But she does need that space though.
But that would give staff time to get a proposed budget of cost and this and that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you can present, I mean, if council moves forward, you know, if you completely remodel, whatever, I mean, but at least we'd have a budget number to, instead of just saying we're moving forward and not know what costs. I mean, that would give staff time to, I mean, we need to, before we move, we still gonna need a budget to do anything on.
Right.
That's my request as far as to.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But we're gonna move forward on that though.
Yeah.
Once we, I mean, 2 or 3 more weeks to have a strategic planning meeting. We weren't gonna get them in there anyway before that anyway. So as long as we go ahead and have that meeting soon, I think everything works out.
I think everybody's on the same page. We just wanted to, this is the first time that we're hearing what the best use of that building is, and Mr. Clyburn has come up with that, and
right, and there's some other
I think we need to
ideas now, but we'll talk about in our strategic planning. I don't want to get into a whole other discussion, but we have other ideas that are out there to use that are, I think, are excellent ideas that I've heard from different people in the community, as well as some councilmen. But we'll get into that. But for right now, I think the issue is, let's just give it a couple of weeks, have a strategic planning, decide how to move forward, and that way, all 8 of us are on board and are satisfied with that. Okay, let's just do it that way. I'm fine with that.
Let's not also forget about voter registration. They've been before council, they presented, you know, the information, the safety guy came and presented that information, so we must, you know, as a council as well.
Those machines are gonna be moved below us in the administration building, and we're gonna make sure we have the locks and everything done for that. And I've talked to her about that. She came and met with me. She's very satisfied with what's there. And you know, maybe we get them to come back and look and see exactly how we're gonna do it, but she's very satisfied with that arrangement. And I think if we can do that, it'll save some money. I mean, I just wanna save money and not just do things that's gonna cost and cost. I think that's gonna be the most cost-efficient way of doing it, and it's very safe. You know, we'll be fine with that arrangement that we have.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Clyburn. All right, moving to the recognition of council members. We'll start with Mr. Councilman Woods.
Was brought to my attention, I don't know exactly, do I need to ask the credit to the sheriff or the administrator? East Main Extension to Beauty Spot Road, a speed limit sign. I've got a couple phone calls that people is traveling the highway at a high rate of speed. Now, is that something that DOT need to regulate, or?
That's DOT.
That DOT?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They regulate and we just have to enforce.
Okay.
But DOT will do that.
And me personally, I would like to see Mr. Williams come give an update on the recreation status. I got chewed out, probably because I was a former director, that the recreation don't even have a sign saying where the office is located at. And this, the gentleman is a very well-known citizen of Marlboro County. His grandkids wanted to sign up for football, and they went out there he went to the building, and nobody ever came to the door. He called, nobody answered the phone, there were no signs. He called me, wanted to know where the building at, where the workers at. I got on the phone, I ain't get in touch with nobody. Finally, someone called me back, and he was off that day. Mr. Williams was off that day, medical reason. But his staff, nobody was there to answer the phone. But anyway, let's say we're talking about recreation. There's always been a place where a sign would be identified where the recreation building at. And like I say, I told him I said it's behind the library. He said he asked somebody for EMS. They didn't know who the man was. You know, and that's, you know, when people don't know your colleagues inside of the same building, lack of communication, however you want to call it. But anyway, I talked and asked him anything I could do, but he was so adamant about. He said, "No, I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna see this man today." I don't know if he ever did or not, but I told him to come up there and see Mr. Clapper. I said, "Mr. Clapper can address your issue if I cannot answer it, but we have to have some kind of identification where Parks and Recreation is located at. You can't, for those who live here and those who got kids here, and you know, we would know that. But for a grandparent, and his child is 8 years old or 9 years old, want to sign him up, he didn't know where to go. He said, go to the library. I don't want to read no book. I want to sign my child up. But there was no sign. Say Park and Recreation is located here. So we need to let's say get ahead of this thing before another sport come in. You know, we said here saying that yeah, we got this and that, and we do A, B, and C. But if we don't take care of the simple things of putting a sign up, of saying that Park and Recreation is located here, come sign your child up, but where? You know, you can't say sign up is going on now, but where's now? Where's where? You know, when we have people in outside areas in the past, when local commissioners would sign up each kid, whether football, baseball, basketball, and Claudia, McCall, Blenner, Wallace, our parents know where to go. They would know to go talk to Tim McCoy or Michael Coachman or Carl Locklear in each area. But now they want everything to be centralized. And Marlboro County is not a centralized location. It's a countywide location. You know, we cannot have kids, a mother in Clio that don't that never been to the library, and their child want to play a sport, and you tell them, well, you got signed up online. Well, I don't have a computer. Okay, well, go to the library. Where in the library? You know, there's always an alternative. We'll continue to kick the can down the road, kick, and it's so much simpler to go back to the original way. That you got people they want to volunteer. They want to help our children out, but yet we want to modernize, go in the future without bringing everybody up slowly. Everybody can just go from 0 to 100. You know, so it's irritating that so many people is left out because we got kids now walking the street because they don't know how to sign up. Or their parents don't know how to sign them up. The grandparents don't know how to sign them up. And we got people in staff of recreation that don't even travel. They got free gas. Free gas in Marlboro County for these people that sit on their tail and in the office and get on the telephone. Where they can get in their car, go to the Clio area, go to the Blenheim area, and put signs up. Say we have a sign up on certain days. You can say you can have a sign up at Bennett Park from 5 to 8. We have a sign up in Blenheim on Tuesday and Thursday from 5 to 8. But kids would know, parents would know. Little things of that nature. And I have talked to Mr. Williams to tell him some of the things. You're not in Columbia now. You got to do things what people is accustomed to doing. Once things get to a point where you can implement change on a slowly basis, that's great. But to come in and say, I'm gonna do it this way, and they gotta learn how to accept it, we gonna lose a lot of kids in the shuffle.
Let me just say that I have talked about that particular issue. And last time we met, we went to the cloud meeting. I talked to the gentleman over there about doing sign-ups in certain areas, going to different areas, doing sign up, even if it's not just for a day, doing that. Well, if you remember, that was right before the sign up football was over with. For the next season, we are planning on doing those sign ups in different areas. Now, it's going to take some reshuffling. You know, when I got here, it was already centralized. It's going to take some time to reshuffle it and to get some more manpower to get those things out, or some workforce, get those things out in different areas. To do it that way, whether it's going to be through volunteers or whether it's going to be through having to pay, but that's going to take some effort to get it back to the way it was if we decide that that's the way we want to do it, or a modification of that way. But yes, I've talked about how we're going to do things, and we can't just force it on people in a way where they're just not capable of keeping up. And so I understand your concern, and I'll be continuing that conversation. But like I said, we're not going to be doing it that way, the new way completely when it comes to the next season. Next season we'll be in different areas doing sign up on different days, and that'll give people a chance to come out. And we'll do a better job of communicating that, which again, I don't want to get into this long discussion, but that leads us to the county website and the marketing, which is terrible right now. And we're right now accepting some, not bids, but just some quotes on the website, because hopefully we're under 25. We're accepting some quotes on that, because we want to get that done and make sure that we have that and someone in here to implement that and make sure it's being kept up with. Because I've gotten calls from, again, Clio, that our information about them on our website is wrong. So I had to get that changed out. I hate having to learn how to do it and do it myself. But I mean, we gotta get done. So we gotta get those things worked on. It's a lot of different issues that are making it difficult to do a lot of things. And so we are going to advertise.
It's not as difficult as people say it is. If you have a opportunity to have a meeting in each area, it says volunteer, for those who want to volunteer to meet the AD to talk about a roundtable discussion, how can we improve our recreation program? That's the beginning. You can't, but every time they want to have a meeting, they want to have a meeting in their location, in their comfort zone. You got to go. Sometimes you got to go into a different area. You cannot sit behind your desk or a desk and say, "Well, y'all need to come to me." You can't come to me. Sometimes you got to go to the people. You know.
I know that.
Yeah, I know you know that. But anyway, that's my little pet peeve. But I'm gonna say amen and move on.
Mr. Chair, I just want to be sure that we do the recognition of citizens, just in case. Did we have anyone?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to.
We did not have any
Thank you.
requests.
I want to just be quick and say I want to give a shout out and a thanks to and appreciation to all members in this community that came out to welcome Mr. Claver and his family to Marlboro County last Thursday. That was 37 days, now you're in 42 days of your tenure here, so we appreciate that. But all the communities, the state leaders, county leaders, state, city government, county government, all over, I do appreciate that for everybody coming out to make you feel welcome, because we do appreciate you in Marlboro County. Just want to emphasize that that was sponsored by community leaders, so we just wanted to make sure that was. The second thing I want to put note for everyone, I know that you're interested in getting your training, as Mr. Andrews and I talked about our training. The South Carolina Association of Counties will have its fall meeting in Columbia, October the 18th and 19th, so we can get our credentials. If anyone is interested in that, we need to have our clerk of council sign us up for that, because they're taking it, and we'll be at the embassy suite, but the rooms are filling up fast. So I just want to bring that point out to everyone for our training. Also that you talked about litter. In May, we had a very successful litter pickup, and we talked about having a second one. So we'd like for the staff to get together, hopefully maybe by the end of October, we'll have another big community-wide litter week. It goes better when it's a week instead of making a one-day thing out of it and do incentives and whatever. And I'm going to be pushing my community in the southwest Bennettsville area that I am. We're going to probably be doing some small little things, and I'm going to probably be pushing some incentives for the people who spearhead that. And lastly, I'm sure it's about time for this County Connect to come out. We would like very much that you be a part of that, education of that. And the update about that website, you brought it up. but it also need to be updated because the litter control officer, all those names need to be changed. Things need to be changed, but please, let's get our website, because there's stuff on the front page of our website that the first litter could pick up is 2019. Harvest Hope Bank, all that, that's old. So we do need to upgrade our website. Even there's some college, there's a college young man who just graduated from college who would love to participate in helping the county because he's in communications and he's in well-page design. So just to say that, let's get our website so we can be like other counties. If you ever watch Carlton County, Spartanburg, Darlington, all those counties have everything on their website. And I just want us to get a part of that, not just our pictures on it, but information for the people. And I thank you for so much. I'm finished. And I do thank everyone who came out tonight.
Yeah, first of all, thank to all the citizens that came out tonight. You are, while we're here, you are our boss. Please continue to encourage people to be civic-minded and push us to do exactly what we need to be doing, what you all hire us to do. Mr. Ridges, congratulations on signing up for your stint at government with the city. Wish you well. You have my 100% support, and I just wish you well on your endeavor with that. During the hurricane, the tropical storm actually, what it was, had a lot of citizens from the Shady Rest area to give me a call and say they saw the trucks driving by. They felt for a long time, for the first time in a long time, that they felt kind of safe. That if anything was to happen, that they would have the proper notice to move to the right place and to get out. So just like to say, the administrator, good job of preparing, getting everything prepared. I know he had a lot to do with it. Your staff had a lot to do with it. But good job this time. But I would like to know, was that sign that's up on Broad Street, were they used for any type of communication, or was that in the plan to be used if say like you had to evacuate?
We could absolutely use it for that, for sure. We did not use it this past.
You did not use it this time?
But we would absolutely can.
Yeah, I think we should put that into play, that, you know, if that is the county sign, everybody knows that that's the county sign now, so we can put any type of information.
I agree.
To the citizens out that's passing by for that. Mr. Deucer, what's the status of of your beer license for the country club?
I'm waiting to hear back from Slip.
All right, so we're on the 8th month, or what?
I turned it over to finance to do what they need to do with the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
It can be lengthy. It shouldn't be as lengthy, because I think from the very beginning, we may have approached it, again, that was before I got here, but it may have been approached a little bit the more lengthy way, but, you know, if it shouldn't have been that lengthy. It shouldn't have taken that long to get the license, but it's just to bear in mind. But we're going to get it pushed through as quick as we can.
Yeah, that is still one of the things that, you know, when you look at it, you know, we could have been grandfathered in and things went a lot quicker if we had done.
Now, with that, if we'd acquired it when they had the license and still active, then we could have gotten a temporary license to build on until we got ours. And that would have been the easy way to do it. But I'm not sure, again, I'm not sure when it was purchased, the date of it.
Right.
But that would have been the time to ask about grandfathering before you transfer the ownership of it. And so that's what we should have done back when that was, when was that?
March. Yeah,
back in March. Yeah, that should have been done in March.
Right, so, you know, we're just losing a lot of
losing some revenue. Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And that's important. And I just want to know, I just want to say that, you know, I know change is difficult for people. For this town, we've been stagnant for a long time. We haven't moved in either direction, it seems like. And, you know, we can probably point to some statistics. You can go back to a 5-year plan and you can see some things that we've done, and they can say that proverbial needle has been going in the right direction. However, the citizens don't feel it. They don't feel it. They don't see it. You know, they're hurting. You know, they are starving for us to act. And it just appears that we keep kicking the can down the road. We always say we need just one more meeting. Now all of a sudden we need just one more strategic meeting. We always need that one more meeting. But we've got to get something done. We can't just sit back and just let our citizens continue to just feel this way, bleed, depressed. You know, I just want to get it done, so I'll leave it at that.
Dr. Johnson?
Again, we thank all of the citizens and officials who came out to greet our county administrator and his family and welcome here to Marlboro County. We had a great time, great festive atmosphere, great fellowship, and great networking. So we thank you all for coming out and showing your support for our newly appointed county administrator. I'd like to thank Mr. Cassidy for his help in addressing a citizen's concern. That citizen is very pleased that you did give her a call and address that concern. It's little things like that. Sometimes it doesn't take a whole lot. You know, when our citizens have a complaint or have a concern, having the head man, you know, reach out to them and show them concern, that goes a long way. So I appreciate you taking that time and that opportunity to do that. Again, we got to get to work in Marlboro County. We're 15, 20 years behind. We're 15, 20 years behind, and you know, it's our fault. I'm on council now, so I'm gonna take some responsibility as well. It's our fault. But I can guarantee you that, you know, upon our watch now, every dime that Marlboro County should be able to get, every nickel, every penny, you know, we're gonna make sure that we get. Because our citizens deserve us going as aggressive as we need to be to improve the downward spiral that has been going on in Marlboro County for ages. While people have gotten rich off the misery that our citizens have faced, those times stopping now. There's a way for you to continue to get rich and do what you're supposed to do with your family and build your wealth without sacrificing the people of Marlboro County. I'm still upset from last night. I ain't sleep none last night thinking about that money we done lost. Tens of millions of dollars we lost in Marlboro County. Tens of millions of dollars. So I guarantee you, to all the citizens out there who are watching, I'm looking at every dime. And every dime that needs to come to Marlboro County, we're gonna make sure that we strong on whoever we need to strong on. We're gonna submit whatever grant that we need to submit. We're gonna do our very, very best to ensure that the next 5 to 10 years in Marlboro County is not under the lens of a poor rural county where we're high in unemployment, high underemployment, high in every negative health category that there is on the book. Number 1 in cancer, number 1 in breast cancer, number 2 in prostate cancer. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. It's unfair to us who have to live here and do our very, very best to have leaders, not just lay people, leaders turn a blind eye to the misery that we're facing when we don't have to face it. So I guarantee you that I will continue to do my very, very best to ensure that our lens is looking. And whatever we need to get in Marlboro County, we're going to be sure that we're going to bring the revenue in here to be able to improve our county and bring us into the 21st century, because we're not, you know, right now. For those who are not doing anything, on Thursday evening from the hours of 6 to 9 p.m., the Democratic Party will be hosting a Blue Social. Everybody up here ran on the Democratic ticket, so we need your presence and we need your dollars to be able to continue what we're doing in Marlboro County. from 6 to 9 p.m. at 202 East Main Street. Come out and hear what our state party director is going to direct us in, and ensure that we're doing our very, very best to be involved politically, to encourage somebody else to be involved politically. We're all in this together. When we on our zip code, if you live in Blenheim, Clio, McCall, Wallace, Tatum, you're in Marlboro County. And so it's up to all of us, rich, poor, black, white, green, gray, to do our very, very best to ensure that Marlboro County is a greater place to live, work, and play.
That's right.
I'd just like to thank the administrator. You hit the ground running when you came. I thought you would, and you've done exactly what I thought you'd do so far, I got to say, and I'm proud of how you carrying yourself and how you're doing everything with the county and keeping everything. You're just doing a professional job, and so far, I'm just tickled. I'm just tickled with how things are going. And Mr. West Parks, I know you've had your hands full for the last couple of months and or longer, and I just want you to know that we see what you do. And
Appreciate it.
Thank everybody for coming. Okay.
Mr. Clyburn, I'd like to just thank you. You've hit the ground running, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
With that being said, we need to go into executive session to discuss personnel and contractual matters. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? All right, that's unanimous.
How long are we gonna cut it to?
15.
I ain't doing nothing for them.
I'm glad we took care of our other business.
All right, we're back out of executive session. Motion was made by Dr. Johnson and seconded by Councilman Woods to come out of executive session. No action was taken. At this time, we do need a motion to accept the terms of and reappoint our clerk of council.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Now we need a motion to give our administrator permission to pursue environmental testing of Phase 2 of our recreation initiative.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? That's unanimous. All right, do we have a
Make a motion
motion?
that we adjourn.
All right, all in favor?